So after St Vincent's Hospital in Melbourne, which we were only there for 3 months, we headed abroad for what was going to be a 4-year sojourn, travelling a lot of that time through third world countries. We've actually flew from Melbourne, and at that time, so that's kind of late 70s, I mean, people, Antipodeans just automatically go straight to London. They head over to Europe. And we decided we'd do something quite different, and we headed via Easter Island to South America, and we travelled around South America for 6 months. And then you know, did the travel thing, then went to Europe, and but during that 4-year time, something like over 2 years of it was spent on the road, mostly in third world countries. We then came back and spent another 6 months in Central America. We spent time in Asia. We only had one real working stint as a physio, and that was when we were in London, absolutely destitute, and thought, my God, we better earn some money. The European winter advancing, and we thought, let's hot-foot it back to Melbourne, where we had some friends from the time we'd been there. So hot-footed it back to Melbourne and worked for 8-9 months as physios, and we were actually based in Geelong. And that was great. That was good learning. It was, again, a regional hospital. I used to travel out to a small country hospital 3 times a week at Bacchus Marsh and see patients there in outpatient and hospital settings. And that, I think, that was where we consolidated, really, some of the skills as a physio and felt more confident, for sure. So, yeah, we travelled a lot, and the influences of travel are enormous, I think. When I look back over my life, those 4 years travel were probably perhaps some of the certainly most formative time as a young adult that has stayed with me and has influenced the decisions I've made in my life since then. So a very meaningful time. So we came back to New Zealand at the end of that 4 years, and just felt that physiotherapy was not for us. We had changed a lot in our thinking. Our philosophies on life were very different. We felt that the Western model of health was very limited, that one was pandering to the excesses of Western money, of consumerism, of egocentric life, and there was a whole lot more to be considered when one thought about living and thought about health. And this reductionist model of health just didn't suit us at all, and we couldn't imagine picking up physiotherapy again. So we were more interested in those kind of decisions were obviously not totally to do with the way we saw health, but the way we saw ourselves living as well. And I guess, you know, we were pretty entrenched in the 60s and the 70s hippie kind of paradigm, I guess. And having travelled quite a bit through Asia, as we came home, we were well steeped in that. We certainly looked like something out of Asia on a shoestring travel guide, and we read a lot of Eastern philosophy, and our thoughts were guided by these different experiences we'd had. So physiotherapy didn't get a look in, and came back with just about 6 weeks to go before our first baby was born. So we had absolutely no money, not a dollar. We just had no money. A baby due in 6 weeks. We're not returning to our profession, and wondering quite what to do. So we went back to Hawke's Bay because we'd spent such a neat time there, and I actually ended up, through a friend, working as a matron in a school, a boarding school for boys, and Watty ended up, through another friend, working as an orchardist. So he would cycle out to the orchard each day and work, and we did this for a couple of years, and I guess, slowly assimilated back into Western culture. And sort of, you know, as you do, you pick up the mores and the norms that very much were part of our life because that's how we grew up. But just seemed, I guess, a whole lot more in context and more acceptable to us than when we were on the road. So at the end, that 2-year period, I think our life would still have been very different if the orchardist that Wattie had worked for, if things had panned out differently. He was establishing a property up at Taupo Bay, which is in Northland, and he very much wanted Wattie to go up there and manage it. And we may well have done that and never thought about physio again, but we may well have gone up to Taupo Bay and established this land up there in this orchard, and that would have possibly meant we didn't look at physiotherapy again. But the orchardist that Wattie worked for was kind of an unpredictable character, and things didn't work out for him. And at the end of the 2 years, Wattie and I sort of looked at each other, and Wattie took a deep breath and said, right, well, maybe I will get back into physio, but if I'm going to do it, I'm actually going to be a good physio. And my training, I just haven't learned enough from that to make me feel like I can be a good physio. So Wattie decided he wanted to be a student back at ATI and do the postgrad diploma in musculoskeletal program. So we left the school where we'd been living with all the boarders, and we had a second baby by then, and we headed up to Auckland, and Wattie did the ADP year up there, and I looked after babies and did the odd arthritis class, and he came out of that year feeling a whole lot more confident. He said that he actually learnt the difference between the ulna and the radius, and a lot more besides. And so he came out feeling confident and ready to head into private practice. He learnt some fantastic skills and knowledge and worked incredibly hard up there. So from Auckland, that 1 year in Auckland, we headed to Rotorua, and Wattie established a private practice with a friend of his, and that continued for about 8 years, and I dabbled in physiotherapy, I think might be the best to say. I decided maybe I needed to get out of the home with these wee babies, and decided that, yep, I'd look around and see what was available, and went to work at QE2, Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Remember hitching in from the lake where we lived and hitching back, and working there, which was another chapter altogether, at QE2 for on and off, I think, part-time until maybe just that first year, and then a vacancy came up at Rotorua Hospital, and I worked up there in between having more babies for the next sort of 8 or 9 years.